Clash of Thrones. Why is America fighting Russia? In public, Washington speaks about protecting democracy, human rights, and the sovereignty of nations. But behind the closed doors of political science, these terms do not exist. There is only hard pragmatism and the balance of power. Since the end of the Cold War and the fall of the Soviet Union, the United States has sat alone on the throne of a unipolar world, dominating the planet. Today, the raging conflict between Washington and Moscow is not a mere dispute over borders or sanctions. It is an existential battle to shape the new world order. Why is America fighting Russia with all its political, economic, and indirect military weight? And what red lines did the Kremlin cross to make this confrontation inevitable? The first and most fundamental reason is preventing the rise of a rival power. America's military and security doctrine is built on a strict principle: never allow any single power in Eurasia to achieve absolute hegemony. Russia, with its vast landmass, the world's largest nuclear arsenal, and immense energy resources, represents the most direct and daring threat to this principle. When the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, began expanding eastward toward Russia's traditional borders, the Kremlin viewed this expansion as an existential threat to its national security, attempting to enforce a buffer zone. This is where violent interests collided. America views Putin's attempts to revive the former Soviet sphere of influence and alter borders by force as a violation of the international system established by Washington in 1945. For America, if Russia succeeds in imposing its will in Eastern Europe, it means the collapse of the American deterrence network, giving a green light to other adversaries, most notably China, to move freely. The second dimension of the conflict is the war of economic attrition and securing allies. For decades, Europe and Germany in particular relied on cheap Russian gas as the primary engine for its economy. Washington viewed this reliance with deep concern, considering it a strategic shackle that gave Moscow the power to politically blackmail the old continent at any moment. Recent crises provided America with a golden opportunity to sever this artery completely. By boycotting Russian energy and imposing thousands of economic sanctions, Washington did not just succeed in isolating and suffocating the Russian economy. American companies stepped in as the primary alternative, exporting liquefied natural gas (LNG) to Europe at premium prices. America fights Russia economically to make the cost of Putin's military ambitions higher than the Russian economy can bear, while simultaneously ensuring that the European continent remains entirely under the American security and economic umbrella. The most dangerous dimension, however, is the Sino-Russian alliance and Moscow's pursuit of ending dollar hegemony. Russia is not fighting alone. It is leading a global movement alongside other capitals to build a multipolar system. This system openly aims to break the financial dominance of the United States by creating alternatives to the global banking system and pushing international trade toward local currencies instead of the greenback. For Washington, this is the ultimate red line. America's power stems not just from its military, but from the US dollar's dominance as the world's primary reserve currency. Fighting Russia and weakening it militarily and economically in the Ukrainian swamp is an indirect, decisive American message to Beijing. The cost of challenging the current global order will be devastating. Ultimately, America does not seek a direct military victory against Russia that could ignite a global nuclear war and end life on Earth. It fights with a strategy of smart pragmatism, depleting the adversary, weakening its economy, and isolating it internationally so it remains incapable of posing a real threat to the American throne. International politics knows no emotion. Russia, to America, is not just an enemy, but the grand obstacle that must be contained to preserve the old global order, an order Washington will do anything to ensure does not die.